Hello everyone. Today we are discussing functional English and we are looking at the types of sentences. So when we discuss different types of sentences, first thing we want to understand the different type of sentences comprise of four sentences. So the very first type of sentence that we come across is declarative sentence. And this is the most common sentence that you will come across. Okay. So if I was to give you an example of declarative sentence where we are making a statement and it is mostly affirmative and positive sentence. So if I say I am teaching, this is a simple declarative sentence. Okay, so we make such a statements throughout the day. I'm washing, I'm cleaning, I'm teaching, I'm studying. Those sentences are called declarative sentences because they are mostly used in just positive statements. So you must have an understanding of a declarative sentence when you're trying to converse in English. The second sentence that we come across after declarative sentence is imperative sentence, where there's a command or a request, maybe an order or an instruction. So these type of sentences we want to understand will give you some kind of request or an order or maybe a demand. So if you discuss imperative sentence, what comes in your mind? You must finish your work by 9 p.m. So there's a command in there that you must do something by so and so deadline. So that is an imperative sentence that makes it imperative. Or maybe please watch your mouth, please watch your tongue. So where there's a request, where you're trying to stress the point that yes, there's a request or maybe there is an order or there is a maybe instruction, so that will be an imperative sentence. Okay, don't make the noise, that is an imperative sentence. So if I was to say don't make noise, okay, don't make noise, there is a command in there, so that is an imperative sentence. If we were to go further, so as I'm saying that there are four type of sentences as far as the category is concerned. Then we have interrogative sentence, and that's the easiest one to identify. Interrogative sentence. Okay, so when we discuss interrogative sentence, there's a question, so it is identified by a question mark at the end. So what is your name? So there's a question. So that's the third type we have. What is your name? What time is it? Excuse me. What time is it? So you're asking about the time, and that is in interrogation, a questioning involved. So that's another one. So the last type that we have is called exclamatory. So that is an exclamatory sentence, okay, in which there is an exclamation like hurrah, we won the match, yuppie, pizza is here, something like this. So hurrah, we won the match, hurrah, and then the sign of interjection, okay, we won the match. So when we see the exclamation sign, it shows that there is some expression of the feeling, and that makes it make this sentence as exclamatory sentence. So interrogation can be easily identified with a question mark, okay, and this is the exclamatory sentence. Now if you look at all these sentences, they have something called clause. Now, what is a clause? And that's something we want to understand before we jump onto the structure of the sentences. So one thing I want to point out here, that when you're taking your IELTS exam or maybe you're taking any competitive test, it is encouraged that you use a mix of sentences. You make sure that there are different type of sentences, or there's a variety of sentences that you want to utilize, because it shows you command or grip over your language. So if you look at this sentence, I am teaching, this is called independent clause. Independent clause, which means that it can stand on its own. It doesn't need any other sentence to support this one. So I am teaching is an independent sentence, okay? And this is the independent clause. It can stand on its own. It makes sense on its own. But if I take out the rest of the part, because I want to just show you, so this is a simple declarative sentence. So if I was to define the structure, it is a simple declarative sentence. This is a simple interrogative sentence, and so can be there sentences like compound interrogative, complex interrogative, or maybe so and so. So far we have understood there are 4 types of sentences: declarative, imperative, interrogative, exclamatory. A sentence can comprise of 2 clauses: independent clause and dependent clause. So that's the second thing that we want to learn. So anything that can make sense on its own, that is called an independent clause. But if we go with the dependent and independent clause both together, we missed our plane because we were late. So this is one of the examples I have here. We were late. So that's the sentence. So if you see this half of the sentence, if I hide this part, and if I say we missed our plane, that sentence makes sense on its own, and that's a complete independent clause. But if I hide this part, because we were late, so if I hide that part and I just keep because we were late, that does not make sense on its own. So some part of the sentence that does not make sense on its own is called dependent clause, as we have in this case. Because we were late is a dependent clause, and I am teaching is an independent clause. So sentence will comprise of both dependent and independent. There can be 2 independent clauses, and ideally there is one independent and one dependent, or one independent and second independent as well. So 2 independent sentences would be like I am teaching and Mike is dancing. So Mike is dancing is an independent clause. I am teaching is an independent clause. Both of them are independent clause, and they are creating a sentence. Both of them make sense on their own. But if you look at this example, this part is the independent clause and this one is the dependent clause. So this could be the combination where we can have different type of sentences where both the halves comprise of independent clauses, maybe one independent and dependent clause. I have never seen, I have come across in informal language where both the parts of the sentences are dependent clauses where we make no sense. So that can be a possibility. Now moving on to the structure of sentences, which is rather more important. Simple structure, compound structure, conditional structure, complex structure, all these are the structures. So let's go with the very first one, that is the compound structure. Okay, and if you see IC means independent clause, CC I can write it here. So the formula for this one is you put an independent clause first, okay, plus you have coordinating conjunction, plus you have independent clause. So there are 2 independent clauses. They are co-joined by coordinating conjunction. So one of the sentences that I've got here, I like coffee and Mary likes tea. So what are the coordinating clauses? These are the example: and, but, or, nor, for, yet, so. So if you look at this sentence has been joined together by and. So I like coffee is an independent clause. It can stand on its own. So sorry guys, it's a bit too warm in here, so I probably will take off my jacket. I'm so sorry about this. It does not look professional, but somehow it's too, and I have to turn off the fan because I'm recording. Sorry about this. Mary likes tea. So that's again an independent clause. This type of sentence is called compound sentence, where two independent clauses are joined by a coordinating conjunction. Now we want to look at complex sentence. And complex sentence, we have got subordinating conjunction. So the formula is independent clause plus subordinating conjunction plus we have got dependent clause. Okay, so this time for the complex sentence we don't have the independent clause, we have the dependent clause. So how do we look at it? Just go with the same example. We missed our plane because we were late. Okay, that's all right. So if you look at because we were late, it's a dependent clause. It does not make sense on its own. It cannot stand on its own. But we miss our plane is an independent clause, and they are joined by the subordinating conjunction. And example of subordinating conjunction are after, although, as, because, before, how, if, once, since, then, that, though, till, until, when, where, whether, while. And this is called a complex sentence. So the first one is the compound and this one is the complex sentence. So ideally you try to mix it up with simple, compound, complex sentences when you're writing anything, maybe a essay or maybe any other document or piece of article where you show a variety of sentences that shows that you have a grip over the language. Now the last one is compound complex sentence. So what's the formula here? I just want to make sure that I write the formula. Independent clause plus subordinating conjunction plus dependent clause. Sounds too big, but it's simpler than how it looks. Dependent clause plus coordinating conjunction. I'm missing conjunction. That's the word. Conjunction. I'm miswriting here. So I'm missing an N here. That was like my mind was checking what I'm doing wrong. Conjunction. Okay, so that's wrong here. Wrong here. Put an N here, but that's okay. Conjunction and independent clause. that's the whole formula. It looks too long, but I have created a sentence that I want to just bring it up here. So rest of the things, details are the same, and as it looks very long, it is simpler than that. So I'll be writing a sentence here which is very small, and John didn't come because he was ill. So Mary was not happy. Okay. So if you look at the first part, John didn't come, that's an independent clause. It can stand on its own. Then you go with the subordinating conjunction because then we have a dependent clause. He was ill. He was ill does not make sense. Who was ill? Mike was ill, Sally was ill, whoever. And then comes so, and that is what, as per the formula, we have got that is a coordinating conjunction, which is here in this line. And then we have at the end independent clause. Mary was not happy. It's a complete sentence that makes sense on its own. So if Mary was not happy means it fulfills the formula that I have created here. Well, not in every case you will get this formula applicable, but in most of the cases that will be applicable. So if you see in this lecture series, we have covered a lot of ground. We have learned how to write essays, we have understood the different types of sentences, and we have also done the introduction of functional English, how it helps in our daily lives. So keep learning. I'll see you in the next lecture with a new tutorial, and we'll be learning something new. Thank you so much.